live event. Happy New Year's. May everyone have a beautiful, healing, and prosperous 2023. And someone mentioned in one of the comments that 2023, if you like add up all the numbers, is like seven, which is like an angelic number, which is awesome. We can use that help. And also, it is the year of the rabbit, according to the Chinese astrology, which is fertility and all the good stuff. And also, I think like it has an important symbology for this coming year, like following the white rabbit down the rabbit hole to another dimension and
Right.
to uncovering hidden stuff from the hidden realms, basically.
And the greatest challenge of rabbit is to uh, uh, grow beyond fear. So that's another example of a lot of us are finding more and more that fear is this illusion, this distortion that's attempting to keep us in some type of darkness. And so as we learn to move through and into toward the love, then you that's really cool. I like that I didn't know that it was the rabbit this year. That's neat.
Yeah, I just also learned it like a few days ago. And I think it's like also very symbolic for what we're going to go through and this year. Like
Mhm.
all many revelations and new information is coming out about stuff that we kind of already knew, but I think it's going to be like new for the non-magical folk in this world.
Right.
But I think it's like also very relevant for us too, like the uncovering of hidden information and bringing to the surface new things, because like we're also going to learn a lot of stuff about ourselves too. I think that is what's going to happen partially, like since we're moving into a higher dimension, we like have to know who we are, like we are going to become more aware of who we are ourselves. And yeah, that can be challenging too, because you have to work through the stuff that you were avoiding to a
Yeah.
certain extent as well. So
Yes.
that can come up in this year as well.
And that's a big theme for a lot of individuals right now. There's a lot of shadow work that's being asked to be done. There's a lot of um, inner child is another way of saying it, doing inner child work. That's
Hmm.
that's the way to deal with or to heal through and assist a dark night of the soul kind of experience. Um, and to be clear, the dark night of the soul, a lot of people have this know about it and know what it is, and there's like this event that occurs in your life and your awakening and kind of leaving it behind after that. However, it happens several times and in different varying degrees. So some of the dark night of the soul stuff is simply transmutation that can be done in an afternoon, and some of it can last a year or more. And so keeping that in mind, it's not a scary thing. It's not like, oh no. However, being armed with information, knowing that if you do shadow work, if you work on your inner child stuff and heal and let that stuff move through, it'll be a lot easier for you.
Yeah, like you're releasing the blockages and stiffness regarding the whole process. Like, I haven't shared that message yet. The one that I sent to you that we recorded from the Patreon channeling regarding spiritual contracts. I have to rework it for public consumption. Like, I almost recorded the whole audio and I was like getting the info that something's wrong with the message. I was like not clear what it is. And while I was editing, I was like realizing like, okay, like this answer that came through regarding contracts is not for public consumption. Like this is specifically for the people who have requested that information. And it's like not for everyone's ears. Like some people maybe not ready to hear what's in the message. So I have to kind of like rework it to make it more accessible for everyone, for the people who will listen to it on YouTube. And yeah, like basically also contracts come in this play. Like what kind of agreements do you have with yourself, with your family, with whatever relationships you were born into? And basically the I don't, in a nutshell, the message is basically that okay, like we have all these negative connotations regarding relationships that we don't like. Like if you had, I don't know, like you didn't like your ex-partner or your mother was not behaving as you would want it to during your childhood, then you have this back and forth unpleasant relationship with someone, and like we usually tend to hold a grudge against those people or like not want them in our lives and so on, however it wants to manifest. And basically having this negative connotation towards those relationships and contracts is the thing that is like locking it into place and like not allowing it to move forth. You can't hear me?
Yeah, you're fading. It's barely recognizable, and then we're using a new platform, everyone. We're doing this go live together. It's an experiment. That's why I'm on my phone instead of the computer.
And
It
that's
does
why
it. You're
we're
very quiet
where.
already, and then you fade to almost not being able to hear you at all.
I'm so sorry. So the universe really doesn't want that message to come through. Okay, so let's change the topic. So basically, we were at the part that if you like have a negative connotations towards something, then you're like locking it into place and like not letting the energies move through more freely and more effortlessly. And that's kind of
Right.
what you were also alluding to. That if you have all these blockages in yourself and you basically have a bad relationships with the unpleasant stuff in your life, then basically you're locking them into place,
Right.
like sending higher vibrational energies towards them, which is not easy, is like the best way to go about it because you're like loosening up the whole thing, your whole attachment to those unpleasant stuff. And please do continue higher vibrations. I hope my connection will stabilize.
Can you all
And
hear me okay? I'm just
yeah,
curious if
I
this
can.
is all of us or just Guardian, or if someone can comment about that. There's yeah, I love what you're saying, the moving through and pulling away from the contracts. That there's a lot of stuff that we've agreed to in this incarnation as we moved into this incarnation once we got here. A lot of things like that that don't necessarily serve us any longer. And we can choose to, okay, only Guardian is low. So it's on your end. It sounds like you're getting text or something. You know how sometimes when someone is doing a using their phone to do a Zoom meeting and they get a
Mhm.
text or a message or something, it
Yeah,
fades. That's
I
what's
got
happening
that
with you.
from you too, like a few minutes ago. Okay, so
Interesting.
YouTube still has to work out these bugs right now.
It's a new format. Um, and as this stuff is happening, on top of it, we're having an increased ascension symptom experience. It's our physical and our spiritual and our emotional. And that was crazy. Something just burped at me on your phone. It might have been my voice. um, and so as these things happen, it can feel very distressful, you know, and that's part of why, you know, Guardian of Orion has this Patreon group and I do the Zoom meetings is to find that community for you to know that you're not alone and you can like bounce off your own experience in it. And if you are interested, Guardian of Orion's Patreon link is always in his YouTube videos, so
And
you can
the
find it there.
descriptions if you're interested. We're going to have a group meditation tomorrow and a live channeling event next week if you're interested. If you like the messages that I shared, then you can experience them live. And you can also ask questions from my guides if any of you are interested in such stuff. It's very interesting and weird information comes through always.
It's really cool. It always works out where there's like and there's a collective experience. By the way, your audio has improved dramatically, Guardian. I
Okay,
noticed. Yeah,
so that burping sound that you experienced, I replugged my headphones, so maybe that's why.
perfect. It worked. Awesome.
Okay.
And then so the messages that come through with Guardians channeling, a lot of times there's a group message, and it's kind of fun to just be a part of that as we all connect and be in that community setting. Um, the group meditations. I have to say too that that's another point is that meditation's awesome, but when you can do it with a group of people, when there's the larger the number present, the more profound it can be. Um, and then there's also that community element that you can find in Guardians Patreon group that you can chat and just it's like this. Like you're like he and I are chatting now. So
Mhm.
that's just something that's really beautiful and a service that Guardian offers. So I wanted to highlight that when I thought of it.
And you also host live events each week, so you can also check that out. And
Yeah.
they are free. They are free Zoom meetings if you're interested. And you can find Higher Vibrations a link to her YouTube channel in the title of the video if anyone wants to check that out. Although I'm not sure through this feature, I think you can access her channel more easily. I'm not sure how it works. We will have
Hmm.
to experiment it.
I'm looking at it on the computer as it's live, and it looks just us we're side by side, and there's not any. But yeah, thank you. The link is there. We have a meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What is that? I 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we go for 3 hours. So if you want to join early, join late or leave early, that's okay. It's a beautiful experience to share in that, and we can compare notes like we do here. There's a point to bring up that Guardy and I were both talking about. Um, we've been all feeling this really dramatic, just drained, just really low energy, really tired, and it's been a thing that's been going on for a little while. Though I just noticed I've never seen the Schumann resident say one ever. And I've been watching it for a little while. Before the beginning of the lockdown stuff, it was around 20 on average or something like that. And then it started to peak. I remember when the summer of 2020, it was going up to like 800 for the first time. I'd never noticed it before. And we typically are at a higher range, is my point. And so that's low. And at the same time, we're all feeling really, really low, really tired, really drained, weird sensations, higher heart activation stuff going on. So there's a lot of stuff in that area. Um, if you can, drink more water, increase your water intake, and that will assist you as the plasma moves through us. We find that increased amount of water in our system helps that move through, and so to assist us in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I'm always so thirsty in the past few days. I just constantly want to drink water for some reason. Yeah, like many of you were writing in the chat box that you have like sleep disturbances.
Mm.
I experienced that during the full moon period, like a few days before and after. That like weird stuff happening during the night, like weird dreams. And yeah, my sleep hasn't been the same since. I hope I can sleep more this day, but I don't know. It's very
Yeah,
strange. But I kind of like move by with the full moon, so it's not that difficult right now, at least in my experience. It's pretty okay on my end.
that's good. I've been having it for a while. It's just getting worse, and worse meaning that it just sleep disruption, just going to sleep, being asleep deep. I'm finding it's happening so frequently that now I go right into dream state. Like normally there's like this buffering period that you're moving into that place, the theta wave or whatever it is. I go straight into dream as soon as like I fall asleep, dream. And I've am noticing that more and more as I'm not able to get very much consecutive sleep. I'll be asleep for 30 minutes to and about 2 hours, and then I'm awake, and it's just a cycle thing. Typically, we wake up always at 3 o'clock. That's a little thing that we all tend to do. It's, uh Guardian was you were the first one that actually illuminated what that meant to me. You had said something about that's when your guides come in, um, at 3
Oh,
AM,
yeah.
and so when you
hmm That's when
and so
weird
when
stuff happens.
I just recently discovered something. It's called the Taos Hum. I've already known about it. I've heard it. I can hear it at 3 o'clock. And I've always said it feels like the earth is humming, the earth is talking. And it's a hum. It's like a deep and it lasts about, I don't know, anywhere between a half hour to an hour every night. And I just discovered not too long ago that it's called something. It's called the Taos Hum. And at 3 o'clock, wherever you are on the planet at 3 a.m., it hums at your location of that time. It's the most bizarre thing. And I love it that science has no idea what's going on. They can't figure it out and pinpoint it. It's Gaia talking to us, Mother Earth saying, whatever it is that she's the songs that she's singing to us. And so it's cool that she's awake and interacting with us at the same time that we're being woken in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that, but I also seen online and also once live during the night. I know, like any of you have, do you remember these video montages of like having this very strange, like almost like a horn sound, like reverberating through the sky, like a ship horn or something similar? That's like the entire sky is like emanating that sound. I experienced it once where I live, but there are like these tons of videos of people like recording it, especially like during dusk or noon, during those periods. It's like very strange and weird. But I haven't seen those in quite some time, so maybe that we move beyond that phase. Maybe I'm not sure.
We've been hearing that. I am blessed to have somebody else on this awakening journey that just lives down the street from me. So we often will text each other. Do you hear that? And it's a lot of times I've ignored it, assuming I live right next to a mill where they take the raw tree and the fresh tree or whatever and turn it into lumber. And so it's constantly got this mechanical sound reverberating through the valley. And a lot of time I mix it up with that. But yeah, it's been happening for, I would say, since September that I've been noticing it. It's
Also,
really interesting.
yeah, like have you read the message from Wild? Like she had some unpleasant experiences with very special beings for like 10 months, but I'm not sure like if you said anything more specific, like there if there are like any specifics that I'm not sure what to say.
I
Okay.
I do know that there's a lot of us that have at some point in the beginning especially, but not always at the beginning of our awakening experience, we'll find that there are um later on going looking back in retrospect, I find that those are actually psychic attacks and they weren't actually physical. For me and for others I've talked to, it doesn't mean that your experience isn't physical. It's just to let you know that it's more common that it's a psychic attack. And there's an experience that occurs that, long story short, basically there are individuals who feed off of a fear pheromone, is basically what it is. There's like this, and um, in order to get that food, there is this fear paradigm that's presented. And based on these different spiritual laws that have already been in place, they can actually come in and interfere with you in a physical way. They're not supposed to be able to. And so a lot of these things will wake up noticing there's no marks on us or anything like that, and finding that there was some pretty profound experience. So I don't know if that helps. I had some experiences similar to that earlier on when I was young.
Yeah, like I had that too in the beginning of my awakening journey too. Those unpleasant attacks. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's like an ET or a disembodied spirit or something. Like it can be a human too, like psychically attacking you. That's a possibility too.
Right.
But like I think the best way to go against it or like to resolve the situation is like to ask help from your guides and your protectors to actually protect you while you sleep and during the day as well. That's kind of what changed the whole game for me, at least. Before that, I had like no clue of this even being a possibility, so I was just kind of like a victim, like going through the those attacks basically. But after I asked for help and did psychic protection and did a lot of work on myself, it subsided and like completely went away. Yeah, like what are you? Do you see something? I have like a ladybug flying in front of me.
I'm putting in Kadosh,
Oh,
Adonai Sambayo. I just
the,
put that in the chat.
our magical power mantra.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I highly recommend like researching it too. There are like YouTube videos. You can write it into YouTube search, and you have it like reverberate to the background. Just constantly listen to it. Like this is still is my like special, I don't know, like trick or magic card or whatever what I pull up if something bad happens. I just
Yeah.
start to like repeat it. If like have I have a bad dream or something and I wake up, I start to repeat it. Sometimes I do it while I'm sleeping, and it like breaks the entire experience apart. Because yeah, you're like shifting your vibration completely and calling in your angels or protectors or with whomever you work with, basically. You're calling in the higher realms to assist you
Yeah.
with that mantra.
And there's a if you take the what I had put in the comment section over here, or the chat section, and put it into the search engine of YouTube, you will find a variety of different YouTube videos. Like Guardian had mentioned, there's this one that we both listened to. I shared it with him, he shared it with me, and it turns out we both listened to it. Um, and it's just like a acapella of some women's voices singing it. And I found that following the guidance of Guardian, of listening to that in the background for a while till you kind of got it like almost ingrained, like you think you called it muscle memory, where you know just to react to it when something comes in and I'm not able to get into that place of love and myself to feel to really be empowered in the experience. That's what can be answered. That's the what can be you can use to assist you to kind of clear out the space and then kind of regain your bearings. Um, if anything is interfering with you in a way that is unpleasant, unwanted, um, one of the really important things to keep in mind is consent. Consent is implied unless it's you're more specific. And so saying I don't give my consent to something is actually very powerful. And the other point is, um, in that place of love, if you can get to that place of love, sometimes again when we're in that place of fear, find whatever it is that gets you there. Um, for me, it's music. It's always music, and then filling myself up with that white light of God intentionally, then I send out that love. That I love you. I'm saying I love you basically to this thing. Sometimes I'm shouting, you know, and it works still.
But that's
It's a
very advanced. Like that's very advanced level.
yeah, it's true. Though sending out any of that energy, it will reveal itself what it is what I'm trying to really say here is that a lot of times when we're having experiences, we don't really know if it's of love or not. If it is of love, it will answer back with love. And if it is not of love, it will flee or be very uncomfortable and try to get out of the way. And the reason is that it is I see Fritzy in the background. It is
Yeah.
a space of um um it's not in harmony with love. It's it's light versus shadow. Once shadow is once light is shown, the shadow cannot stand before it. So that's something else that will help you to kind of know what you're experiencing and what you're interacting with.
Yeah, like the more work you do on yourself, the easier it gets because like they don't necessarily like create bad habits or like negative stuff in our lives or negative aspects. They kind of like feed on what you already have or like empower. Maybe if you fear something and basically, or you have like a, how do you call it, addiction? Yeah. Maybe if you're addicted to something, you have a abusive relationship with a substance or a person, they like come in and like empower that because they, as higher vibration said, they feed on that energy of you being in the victim mentality and being in fear. Like that's what they need in order to survive, or I don't know. And basically, when you are working on yourself and being less and less in that state, going into that state, then you're like becoming incompatible with them. And also, if you're, many of you have mentioned the violet flame meditation. That's great for clearing yourself. If anything maybe remained around you, or just the feeling of that unpleasant experience, you can clear it out with the violet flame. And also, nothing unpleasant can stay in the violet flame as well because it's very high vibrational. So that's also great. So whenever bad things happen, just shift vibrationally and it will go away because it cannot stand that high vibrational energy.
Right. And there's something else to be aware of, that right now we're in this massive swelling of energy space, and so there's a lot that's coming in and a lot of energy experience that's occurring. And for Wild, I'm sure your experience is what you said. I'm simply for those who are else, those other individuals who are listening, it's not always of a disharmonious energy. Just sometimes it's startling for us to have this experience. Here's what's going on is that we've been vibrating at this point for a long time, and that's a good place to vibrate at. And then as we start to vibrate higher, the stuff that's up here that we couldn't perceive before, being that we were vibrating below it, as this is how we our change in vibration is. It doesn't just go up. It's like it's kind of like this. And as we're doing that and starting to meet this other energy that's up here that we hadn't perceived before, it starts to come into our visual range, our awareness in some way. We're able to interact with it in a way that we never had before. And that can be very startling. And so, to be clear, any not all interaction is with ill intent. And so, as this stuff's coming through, to stand in your power, to know that you are like an amazing, powerful being. You are a sovereign being of light. My dad always says she's a sovereign being, beam of light, um, and which is also true.
Yeah.
Um, and knowing that, having that as your armor is the first step that I found. The first step into that taking back the power, taking back and knowing that whatever's in front of me is okay, that it really truly can't harm me. Once I've moved past that experience, that concern of harm, knowing that I won't be, all of a sudden the experience has changed. And I found in some of my interactions, I was creating a less harmonious experience based on my own expectation. And so I kind of requested that interaction. We have a lot of these cool beings that are coming in and trying to figure out how to hang out with you. And so they're learning by your example of how to interact with you. When you react in startlement, that's how you do it, right? Then you're teaching them how to do that. So that's another point to make.
Yeah, like that's also another topic on of itself, especially in the beginning when you haven't really had such experiences, you can't really tell sometimes apart the positive ones from the not so positive ones, because like both can seem very scary because it's very weird and something that you're not used to experiencing. So even if maybe one of your guides or you have contact with some ETs they come in and basically you're scared in that situation too because it's very strange, you're not used to it. And also like another aspect of it which is very important and why it is so important to work on yourself and to work through your stuff, your baggage and blockages, because like when you come in contact with a more higher vibrational being, everything that is like out of alignment in you comes up. So all your fears, all your negative belief systems become amplified and are
Right.
thrown into your face. So that's partially where many of you and also many of us were scared in the beginning, even of the positive ETs and all that, because there were a lot of stuff that was like out of alignment, and you come face to face with all your crap during those experiences. It's
Right.
like also called the shamanic initiation when you have to overcome your own fear and so you can travel to the spirit realm or however you want to call it. First, you have to overcome your fear. And the only way to do that is to work on yourself and also use these opportunities to look at, like, okay, like, what is not working for me? Like, what am I afraid of? What are the problems that are thrown into my face? And actually look at it and work on it because your higher self is bringing them up because now is the great time to deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just to torment you or to give you a bad experience. Whenever something unpleasant comes up, just think of it that, okay, like now is the best time to deal with this and finally get rid of it.
Exactly. And that there's a culture. Before I forget, by the way, I just posted a link to one of the violet flame meditation that Guardian and Ryan and I did live a while back. Um,
Wow.
just to answer a question I saw somebody mentioned. Um, you know, a lot of this experience that we're going through, it's I actually lost my train of thought. I forgot what you just said. That's something that's happening to me a lot right now. This foggy brain thing. Is anybody else having that, by the way? It's freaking
Yeah, we're
just
having a senior moment.
frustrating. I could be in the middle of a sentence and then blank brain. It's like,
Yeah. Like we're talking about that. Okay, like whenever something negative or unpleasant comes up, it's time to deal with it. Okay.
yeah, and a lot of times as this stuff is coming through, that just like you said, it seems like um there to be disruptive or something, though it's truly saying right now is the most fertile time to heal this. For instance, one of the things that you hear a lot, and at least in the culture that I live in, is oh, trigger, and that's supposed to mean you stop your behavior because you're triggering the other person. And I think that's so counterintuitive. When someone's triggering you, they're fulfilling some kind of a soul contract to assist you to look at this thing. They're looking you. It's time to look at this thing because it's time to the most perfect time to heal through it. Yeah, it may not be the most convenient. Usually, I have other plans before some big healing occurs. I think I'm going to go do something else. Surprise, I'm doing this today. And, it's the reason that happened. There's alignments, there's perfect things that are being set into place to make it so we can heal right now. We're in actually a planetary alignment right now. They don't call it that. They call it a train because it's a perfect arc rather than a straight line. And so there's like I think I might be misquoting. It's either 5 or 7 planets that are including the sun that is this perfect arc. And with that, as we're all by the way, tomorrow's also Friday the 13th.
Oh
You know,
yeah, I forget about that.
yeah. And we just left the 111 portal experience and just all this stuff's happening. I'm bringing all this up as just only a few examples of look, you can see that the ground is fertile for healing. These things that come through, they always come through when it's like, wow, it's time to. Also, that massive solar flare that hit us the same time that the Schumann resonance peaked. A lot of us had a lot of strange experiences during that time too. So anyway, we're probably going to have more and more of these triggers right now, and if possible, AP or AAPP just said that they're triggered right now. Trigger. Um, and it's good to be triggered. It is, and it's a celebration. And sometimes I've personally never had important enough growth that was worth doing. That was easy in the beginning. At first, there was always some kind of disruption of like what, and that's okay. That's not always everyone's experience. That's mine, and um, I've learned to let go of that irritability when it happens a little bit, but it's still there. I still feel like I'm on PMS sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, like it's also very difficult, at least for me as well. In the past few years, like the past 2 or 3 years, all the events that happened kind of forced me to recalibrate myself regarding triggers and like expectations on how life should unfold and how people around you should live their lives in, I don't know, like in harmony with you, or how you're affected by the decisions of other people. Like I really had to like recalibrate myself on how to live in the past 2 years.
Right.
Also regarding triggers as well, yeah. There were a lot of triggers in the past few years, and I think for many people there still going to be. I think all the people who haven't done their homeworks regarding being triggered by stuff are going to be facing a lot more and more intensive stuff that they're going to be triggered by, basically.
Yeah. And it's
What?
a celebration too. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think they will view it as such, though.
Yeah.
Of course not. But yeah, like if you can use it to your benefit, to your advantage, and use it in a positive and constructive way if you want to, basically.
Right. And that's the other point too, is that none of this stuff is forced on you. You can you can continue to do whatever it is that you're already doing and or not doing or whatever it is, and that's your choice. It's simply this is guidance of suggestion, to assist you in this experience and to utilize what's available and what's been put in front of you. A lot of
Goodbye.
individuals that have talked, what was that?
Vedette has to leave, so goodbye.
Um, I love her. Um, there's uh just I don't remember what I was saying. I did it again.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault. It's
Okay,
happening a lot.
yeah. We're very unorganized. We're sorry. Must
It's
be
not
very
my
high
fault.
vibrational and
Together.
honest. Yeah.
Um, there's a couple of other things that a few of us have had experience with, just to bring it up, ascension symptom wise, if that's okay. Do you mind?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Um, well, the one that I was my family wasn't just me. In fact, we were trying to discover what we had, some kind of crazy illness that went through the house, lasted only a day. Um, and it turns out a lot of other people globally had it at the same time and are having it. This incredible faintness, like really dizzy. Like I literally almost fell down and fainting a few times this couple of days ago. And now I found myself even crawling just to avoid fainting. Um, and that is something that a lot of people are having happen right now. I'm bringing that up because when I told the story, I thought it was just a me experience, and a lot of on these Zoom meetings that we do, and a lot of people were like, "Whoa, me too." And so just putting that out there, as well as this weird sensation around the eyes. There's a lot of stuff happening around the eyes right now. My experience with it is it feels like around my eyelids, they're just heating up, though others are talking about some severe discomfort. And twitching is coming back for people. Remember the
Hmm.
twitching in the eyes? And it would like go for a million years on this side, then it would be over here, and then it'd be over here. And now people are getting that again. So that's usually a telltale sign of some pretty serious transmutation, moving through energy, releasing energy. So just so everybody knows that you're not alone in that.
Yeah, like also the twitching stuff. Like if you're doing the violet flame meditation or whatever type of clearing, your body can also move involuntarily, kind of, because like whenever you're doing this clearing, if you have like a lot of blockages and crap in your system, that clearing energy is like breaking through it and washing it out. So your body is reacting to that. So it may manifest itself as like electric jolts in your system, like your back can realign or in whatever shape or form it can happen. So don't be surprised if it happens.
Right,
The more you clear yourself out, the less it happens, basically.
right. And the visual I was given with that thank you for bringing it looks like a hose held up against a screen. You know the screens like that you put on your windows? The
Hmm.
water still makes it through. It's just that there's some places of resistance, so it kind of shakes the screen. You are the screen, I guess, in this exact example, right? And so you're gonna have the shaking out experience and the twitching stuff and the even all the way to like severe muscle spasms and Charlie horses, experiences like that. I've also been having this thing where this auto self-healing thing that's happening. It's been really not doing it on purpose. So like automatic, like doing something and then I don't know, there's probably energies coming in and helping me that I'm not able to fully perceive because it does always feel like there's presence around me. I just don't anyway. Um, I had some pretty severe messed up bones in one of my feet that never healed properly, and all of a sudden, it started to heal itself. And when I was in meditation, and so there was like this weird shaking and like heating up experience. And always when I've had these self healing experiences, my heart just starts to pound. And so there's like this, oh no, is my heart okay? Kind of thing happening. Um, so if anyone else is having a sensation or experience like that, know that you're okay, and if there's something that you feel the need to go see a doctor, do so. No one's telling you not to go. It's just that there's a lot of explanation for the things that we are going through right now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like Fenya has mentioned, or Smile has mentioned that also false light, false mentors, healing, clearing meditation can be also very helpful. Yes, like I think she recommended it from Steve Noble. I haven't tried it out, but yeah, like whenever you're like starting out on your spiritual journey, and you also have these attacks, and you're bombarded with everything all at once, like also like the negative stuff or the false stuff doesn't necessarily come in as something scary or negative or harmful to all seeming, but it can be also pretending that it's something that it's actually not. So it can also pretend that it's something very high vibrational, but instead it's just kind of trying to lead you in a different direction. And the best way to, yeah, like high vibration always says that we are expert lie detectors. Like just tap into the energy or just very use your discernment and you can like decipher if it's something is actually of the light or it's something that of the bright darkness, basically. How in the emerald tablets it is described.
Yeah. And to use that sending love thing also helps. If
Yeah,
you can't tell what's happening and before you, the thing is, all the other things that happen, anyone of that lower vibrational frequency state, you can't mimic love. You can't fake this love experience. It's not possible in the higher realms. And so for them to present themselves, it's not that they don't want to, it's just they can't replicate something they don't have. These
yeah.
energies are
They can say those words and like say to you how they much love, how much do they love you, and you're so precious and all that. I don't know. Like in my experience, like my guides and all the higher vibrational beings that I met, like they never said that. So like it's just self-explanatory. Like that's how it is. They don't
right.
have to say it.
Exactly. And then there's this creepy feeling to it too. It's just like you just know that lie detector part of you of who
Yeah,
you are. It just like it feels nasty when the words touch you. It just that's no.
yeah, or it can
And
be something very subtle too. It doesn't necessarily have to be that bombastic as you described it, but something odd in the background. So if you're not sure of it, then just don't go with it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to agree to anything that you don't feel in alignment with, and just leave it be and maybe return to it later on if you want to.
exactly. And to know that you're a powerful being, that's the the bit I'm noticing a theme that most of us are experiencing collectively right now is learning to trust yourself, to trust your own intuition, to believe yourself. That like a lot of us have been conditioned in this lifetime, or perhaps even before this lifetime, to not trust yourself. That there's consequence to speaking the truth, that there's things that will occur that will be unpleasant by being who you are and trusting the experiences coming through. And so that's actually why we have these meetings and guardians, Patreon and stuff, this community that we're building up, not building up, presenting so others can access, is for that very purpose. So you can see that you are, there's others who are experiencing the same things that you are, so they can validate you. And then that teaches you the beginning experience of self-trust. And from that you can go on further. The other thing that I'd like to mention that's really important across the board is self-forgiveness. A lot of us don't even realize that we're doing it. We're really good at forgiving other people. However, I don't know about y'all, but for me, how I forgive other people is I take blame. I say, okay, I forgive that person. And then I find something that I'm responsible for. Perhaps I wasn't even responsible for. It doesn't really matter. It's that I took that on. Oh, well, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have done that. Or I shouldn't have. And then that little piece of unforgiveness goes into me, and then it piles up with that layer, that barrier of lack of self-forgiveness. This love experience can't fully be present and utilized. And so when the self-forgiveness experience fully occurred in using these meditations, these guided meditations of self-forgiveness and stuff, I found immediate unlocking of my heart chakra. And from that point, self-love came in. And then love of all things came in. And it's just so beautiful. So for any of you who are looking for something to do to help yourself unlock that, self-forgiveness. Forgiveness meditations, there's a lot of them. Um, so that's something to just keep in mind.
Yeah, and I also love how you did this gesture that if you don't, like you take the blame for other people, you forgive them, but you like pile up all the stuff in you, and it like all it's piling up in your throat chakra, like all the emotions, unforgiven stuff, and all the crap is accumulated there.
Right,
That's why you have that feeling also before you start to cry, that like very
right.
the
Like
tension in your throat, like the emotions are coming up, and that's where they can build up. So if you like don't clean house, it can cause problems later on very severely. I think like that's also a reason why so many people have like thyroid problems too,
right.
because like the thyroid is a gland that is connected to the throat chakra. So you may, some of you may also want to look into that to like clear it out so you can actually heal from that stuff.
And with the throat chakra coming online, it's assisting us. Excuse me. I'm having some lung stuff today. We've
Okay.
got a thing going on. Excuse me. So, uh, is that in that experience also to find the higher hearts opening up. The higher heart is this experience, is this here, and the it assists us to open it by speaking the truth. And if you can't speak the truth
Oh,
in your
yeah, that's
regular,
a big one. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like that's also a really big one. If you like, even if I think we many of us have this tendency to like hold back stuff for the sake of other people, and we always like compromise for the well-being of others, and you never speak your truth, as you said, and that can be also very detrimental. So like for once, like starting to speak what's in our mind and like what's from our heart can be a huge healing pathway too.
yeah,
It can be very earth shaking, like very emotional in the beginning, but it's really helpful.
mm, it is. You know, and if you don't, if you're not in alignment with coming to any of these Zoom meetings or anything like that, keep in mind also you don't have to have your audio or your camera on just to you can join without that. Um, what I started to do in the beginning, this helped me. It was like I kind of needed to get over the beginning hurdle to start the process. Was I started to speak that truth by myself, like I was literally just talking to myself, pretending I was talking to somebody else. Who knows?
Write it down in a notebook or something.
Get it out. Start the process. Prepare. Begin the momentum of it releasing, for leaving you that truth. You're not making it not be. It's simply it's no longer captured. And so the more that we speak our truth, the more we see there aren't consequence. You know, a lot of us, have had like witch trials like background in different lifetimes as well as this one. There's some kind of unpleasant consequence to telling the truth. And so, there's a hang up there. Knowing that you're safe in these places, that you can come and do that and no one's going to hold it against you. In fact, most of us will, yeah, yeah. Like I love going to those Zoom meetings and seeing I see all the squares at the same time, and everyone's like, "Yep, yep, yep," just nodding away, and it's so nice to be like, "Okay, I'm not alone," and it also helps you to understand your experience, and then the throat chakra releasing that happens, it's like something becomes inspired, and then everything else lines up. It's so beautiful, and so whatever you can, like writing, singing is another one. Light language is a way to tell your truth without anyone knowing what you're saying.
Yeah, like that's gonna be a way too. Also, I'm not sure how to read your name. Other question: has anyone done any parasite cleansing? Like we mentioned the violet flame transmutation earlier on. I think that's a great way of doing it too.
Yeah.
Like clearing out and transmuting everything that is of lower vibration. You can try that too, and maybe have an intent to clear out anything that has attached or left any type of energetic residue in your system. Go in to the meditation with that intent to clear it out, and everything else that it may have left in your experience. If you had like some kind of unpleasant experience, it tends to like leave some kind of energy or some kind of energetic residue in our field, or maybe just a memory of it, or some kind of nasty feeling that like that stays in our bodies for some time. And you can also clear that out with the violet flame meditation. So everything that it so any way it has affected you, it can leave your system and it will no longer affect you, basically.
Right.
Yes. And I
And
also remembered, I'm sorry, I was reminded through the chat section of something. Like today, I was reminded of some kind of message, like that all these difficulties that are like thrown at us, like for example, these difficult psychic attacks or having difficult relationships with people or abuse or whatever types of unpleasant experiences, like basically we're here to like remedy those and to heal those and to find a way to overcome them. But the only way that we can do find a way to overcome it and to heal it is that first we have to go through it ourselves. So
yeah,
we have to experience it first, and after that we can heal it, because otherwise you're just observing it and doing some kind of philosophy on how others should heal that thing, but I have never experienced it myself.
right, exactly. And that's why we picked so much trauma when we came here. You know, all of us have this experience one way or another. I had a near death experience when I was 4, and and in that experience, that was exactly what happened. It was if there was a whole table filled with these different traumas, and then you pick. And I remember the sensation that there was more than could be handled by who was already here, and so I took a lot, and a lot of us have. That's one of the most common things about star seeds when we have these conversations is we have a lot of trauma, and there's a reason for that. Not You're not being tortured. It's that if you don't heal through it yourself, the assistance of healing the experience for others isn't possible. You can't touch it. Not really. And so yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like
Also,
yes,
I just wanted to mention, I don't know if I posted it on YouTube, but through my Telegram group, I do have we did a parasite removal group meditation, and that if I haven't posted it on YouTube, maybe I'll make it into a video though. So if you're interested, I can't remember. I think it was 8 number 1 said something about parasite removal.
yes.
You can do this by declaration of it's kind of like contract removal declaration of just saying it's time for you to leave, and it's just walking through the different parts of your body, um, as well as other things that you can do in the physical way of like there's cleansing and stuff. We're all already on this auto purging right now. A lot of us are having like this, just everything's leaving. Like I'm old enough to not have to have acne, and I've been having acne for a while now, and it's all this stuff going to the surface and out of our body, and so it's already happening in that way too. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been following the chat. Okay. All right. So yeah,
Guardian of
like in closing, yes. Do you wish to share anything in closing? High vibrations.
I was just going to mention that Guardian of Orion has a lot of awesome meditations. There's actually, I believe you have a folder in your on your channel.
Yes,
There's
I
some,
have a playlist of them. I don't have that much. I think there's only like five, but you can try them out if you want to.
yeah, they're really useful and helpful. I suppose I was joining your Patreon community for a while, and there was a lot of meditations done there, and that's another point, to make that. Um, you have a meditation every month, and then you also have a channeling every
No,
month.
do once every month.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you join the Patreon channel, you have access to all the recordings. So we have like a year's worth of meditations and channeling sessions that you can check out if you're interested. And I also, from time to time, share uh, somewhat channelings too, but also meditations or light language healings and transmissions on YouTube as well, if anyone is in tune with those.
Right. And there's the trio of the light, like the violet flame, the blue flame, and the green flame meditation light language. I mean, um, I found playing those in the background really, really helped to raise the vibrational frequency of the space. Sometimes we get in a funk, and I find that auditory music, sound changes that vibration for me like almost instantaneously. So I'll often use things like that. So he also has that available. That's also on my channel too. I have it as a link of the three together, and playing them together in a cycle, it will raise the vibration of your space.
Yeah, like if you are in tune with those transmissions. If you're not, then you won't enjoy them.
Right.
But yeah, eighth number one, just share that meditation is so hard for me. Like you
Yeah.
could try maybe in the beginning, just find some kind of relaxing music thing, maybe even light language, not necessarily mine, but try to find something that is relaxing, relatively like monotone. You have like millions of meditation musics online. Find something like sit down, close your eyes, and just breathe and observe the music, maybe. Try to relax and enjoy the experience. And yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Doesn't need to be complicated.
And there's
And
another
there's
point to be made about that too. A lot of individuals, including myself in the beginning, are unable to connect to meditation just due to the need to have busyness. And so I found I sketch and draw and stuff. And so when I'm drawing, I would kind of go into a meditative state. When I would be gardening, I'd go into a meditative state, not to the point that we're talking about in meditation, closing your eyes, but also in driving. When you're driving for periods of time
don't
and
close.
being responsible, um, we can find ourselves in that basic state, so whatever it is that's an activity that can help you, I'm finding that to be true for more people than not, the need to have something to do and keep yourself busy, just like when you're channeling. If you do it when you're writing, do automated writing, then the channeling can come through because your ego is busy with the pen. And the same is true for these other things. So if you can preoccupy the ego with drawing or playing with slime, whatever is correct for you,
I
you
wash
know,
the dishes. That really helps.
it's a good one. It's a really good one. I saw a question pop up. Do you mind if I answer it before we
Yes,
go?
yes.
Um, AAPP asked, do you guys work with animals, spirit animals? And I do. I come from a background with that, and so I mean, I've working with the medicine of all the different animals. They come through and talk to us. And speaking of, there's been a huge influx in Turkey lately. There
Mhm.
are hordes. They're like neighborhood gangs now where I live of these turkeys, and that's the giveaway bird. That's the ensuring that all may be possible um, through the experience of presenting self in service. We're all in service. We're all service oriented. That's why you're here. That's why you're part of this. And that does not mean self sacrifice. There's a big distinction, so to keep that in mind as well. So, yeah, I do. I love those spirit animals, and Guardian does too, to
Yeah,
be fair.
sometimes they appear to me, but I, for some reason, don't follow the rabbit to the end. I have like dreams or like weird experiences out in nature, like deers coming close or stuff. But yeah, from time to time, they also come into my experience to like bring a sign or like teach a lesson, or mostly as like to draw my attention upon a certain aspect of my life, like that I should focus on. I remember with the deer like 2 years ago, and the message was kind of like you should focus more on being more gentle. being more compassionate and gentle in life, and okay, like I try to implement it to the best of my ability.
That's awesome. And gentle with self. You know, I would say that that is one of the key points in this whole experience is that when you're gentle with yourself and patient with yourself, then all the other things can be done so much more efficiently and pleasantly.
Yeah, like eight number one said that owl is a big one right now. Yeah, I always have owls too. Like we also have them physically around the house now. So when
Yeah.
I lived in big city, owls appeared on everything, like people's t-shirts and earrings, necklaces, whatever types of accessories or posters. Like owls were everywhere. Now we live close to nature, and I have actually owls that scream in the middle of the night. So
Cool.
that's more freakier, but yeah, we have them.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Owl is
so
a very beautiful
okay,
energy.
yeah. Like in closing, do you wish to share anything high vibrations other than the Zoom meetings, maybe?
Okay, yeah, I have a Zoom meeting tomorrow. They're free. That we meet twice a week, Fridays and Tuesdays. Fridays we meet at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Tuesdays we meet at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're always free. And it's private. We don't air it or record it anywhere. So just so you know, you don't have to worry about that. You can come on without your camera on. You don't even have to speak if you feel the need to just type it in. I will be your voice and help you to be a part of the group conversation. So
Thank you for that. Thank you for your service, high vibrations.
thank you.
And lots of hugs, and thank you for everyone who has come. And I hope that we can see each other next week too.
Also, just yeah, someone asked. I
Yes.
didn't say to find the link to my Zoom meetings. Go to my channel. It's in the community section of the channel. I haven't posted it for tomorrow yet. I will do that in the next hour, and then you can join through that link.
All right.
Thank
Looking forward to it.
thank you.
Okay. So
Sending
have
so
an
much.
awesome, thank you, and have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Bye.